Sounds good.
Hey there, I'm Alanis, and I'm here with Talking to Respire today, talking with,
Egin Kongoli.
and Rohan.
and you guys just played ZBR Fest here in Chicago. And what do you think about it? How was the fest for you two?
It was rad. It was very sick. We had a great time. Vibes were great. They did an awesome job like curating and organizing it. Um, we ran into like so many old friends that we've known for like a really long time. Like there's people I think we met in like 2012, 2013 there.
Yeah,
And also, Egan and I run New Friends Fest in Toronto, so it was really great to be at a fest and like not have to do anything except for show up and play, which was really fun. It was great.
It's great.
We had an awesome
Yeah.
time. Yeah, they did a great job. And
Dave Norman is, from Canada. So we have like a long kind of history with Dave from before, ZBR kind of came stateside, right? So it was really nice to see it all grow. And we played the first few sort of ZBR fests when it was a much smaller scale and at like a DIY sort of coffee shop. And so yeah, it was very cool to play the fest, and also just really great to be in Chicago and in the States as a band that can't really do that very very easily. So it's been good.
especially with how many members you guys have. How many did you get on stage last night? Like six or seven?
we had six.
Yeah, six on this tour. Yes.
But we've had anywhere from usually six, but once in a while five to
Yeah.
8, 9, 10 people on stage.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
this is a good amount. Six is a normal amount for us.
Yeah, because you guys have so much instrumentation. I mean, to bring up like a string section on and a trumpet section, like really is something that you wouldn't necessarily immediately think of when you think of like a black metal or a black gaze band, but like fits so seamlessly. It's like you're talking about your set with Votive is right before, and then you're like, oh, it's the heavy, fast stuff. Now it's time to go slow and boring, and it's like I wouldn't necessarily have said that, but it adds a nice layer of texture to it. What was like the inspiration to adding those different traditional elements to it, like the strings and the horns?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me personally, anyways. I mean, so we come from Rohan and I met each other when I was still a teenager, like on MySpace, from our like very very early, baby bands, and for me personally, anyways, like I was always really inspired by like Canadian independent music in the 2000s, and there was quite a lot of bands around that time using a lot of different kinds of instruments, like Broken Social Scene and Godspeed You Black Emperor, and so there was like quite a wealth of Canadian music that was interestingly ambitious. So for me, like even for my very first band, kind of in high school, it was like a violin sort of affair, and so I don't know. Like when I got into screamo, I feel like I sort of got into the black, the post rock kind of aspect of it, and coming from a post rock background, it just like kind of made sense to continue to marry the two. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I met Emmett. Emmett's been around since like the very beginning of the band. He's the guy who's playing trumpet and guitar and singing, I guess, at this point. But we met in university, and he played the trumpet, and I was just like, I was a big fan of like American football and the horns and that. I was like, you should like do something like heavy and big that has a trumpet. So we started with a trumpet before we really brought in the strings, and it was because Emmett kind of took like step back from he plays in a lot of other bands that are a little more demanding than Respire. So he went and did that stuff. So we brought in Eslin, who I also went to university with, um, and she's a very very talented violin player. But I think we like give everybody kind of room to bring their own influences in, and Eslin does not necessarily come from like a heavy music background, so obviously brings quite a bit of different sort of approach to it, and yeah, I don't know.
I think it's cool and we like it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We try to we want to be an interesting band doing different stuff that other bands are doing, and I think the violin and trumpet help set us apart and help to make us sound how we want to sound. And I think having people that are super creative and musical and talented and are far better musicians than us really helps, achieve those goals of like making cool, interesting, ambitious music that sounds like not a lot of other stuff.
I mean, yeah, that definitely does like set you apart. And you mentioned Godspeed. That's one of my all-time favorite bands. And it's like you want to make something heavy with some strings in it. Godspeed's that blueprint.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, what if we took like some of that and then, like I think we're obviously like big lovers of music, and I think it helps to like have a really a larger palette to be taking inspiration from. Like I don't think making heavy music needs to be all about making heavy music. Like you can work in contrasts and work in like creating something that's a little bit more interesting and varied than just like a bunch of beatdown riffs. Not that that's like anything wrong with a bunch of beatdown riffs. There's a time and a space, but I think we didn't want to be that kind of band, and we wanted to do something that was maybe a little more like evocative and painting some emotions and pictures.
Something that's more transformative.
Yeah.
So like your guys' genre, you get labeled with like the Blackgaze genre, this mixing of black metal and shoegaze. Do you think that's like a fair title, and what do you think about that kind of genre placement? Because it's kind of an odd one.
I think a genre is a useful tool to categorize music in your head.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that like we ever consider when we're writing or performing. I think it's
we're not genre purists by any, obviously, right? Like in a band like Respire.
I think if you want to call us Blackgaze or whatever, you can. I'm not gonna be mad about it.
It's interesting. I mean, I think like we come from like emo and DIY punk, right? Yeah. And I think it was a conscious effort to do something that wasn't really just screamo.
Yeah.
So at the time we were into a lot of, I think, like we were talking about before the interview, but like Death Heaven was like obviously pretty transformative for us, and we were like, all right, let's like do blast beats and be heavier, playing much lower tunings and just try to like be a heavier sort of band. So we've always like been categorized as certain different things, and we played a lot of different shows in a lot of different contexts, and it's all really cool and really fun. But I think we joke and categorize ourselves as post everything.
Yeah.
Which is just like
I love throwing post and everything. It makes you sound so like no matter who you're talking to, I feel like it's like I'm seeing Godspeed. What are they? They're doing post rock. Let me see. I'm seeing Respire. What are they? They're kind of like a post metal Blackgaze band, but like it's like
kind of post everything.
Yeah, everything's post. Like I'm in the post punk, post hardcore pre-production.
But like, I think like it's just like it's easy for us because we just like a lot of different kinds of things, and I think there's like a lot of value and a lot of like emotionally resonant material and everything from like bluegrass to black metal, right? And I think there's like all my favorite bands are bands that like kind of cross those that in a very in like an authentic way that makes sense and is doing something that feels like cohesive.
Yeah.
So I think that like ethnically and aesthetically we're probably a punk band. At the end of the day, like we identify with like DIY punk and doing stuff in a punk way.
Yeah.
But it definitely kind of feel a little odd ones out when we're in like more of a metal environment, even if it's like a metal environment that is a more open-minded. It's it feels much more at home to be at a place like Zegma Beach.
Oh, absolutely.
For us, that's
you're not gonna have someone in a Mayhem T-shirt calling you a poser, Like,
we've definitely had a couple. Like, we've had Europeans tell us to like, cut out the soft parts. So like, it's good when it's hard, only hard.
So it's like there's no gray area in between. And you guys talk about running New Friends Fest. Right now the Screamo Festival scene is phenomenal. I think we have California Kicks coming up, your Renaissance, and New Friends at the end of the year, or like in August. So what have you noticed about the Screamo scene coming? Like, how has it evolved just since you guys have started running New Friends?
It's crazy. It's like night and day. I mean, when
this shit wasn't cool when we were starting. This shit was very not cool.
There were no kids. Like, I think we were like really rapidly aging as a scene. I mean, even when we joined like the Toronto kind of DIY scene, we were like, I was 18, 19, so like kind of the young kids there, but it was a pretty old scene, you know. And then like as we got older, no, there really like, you know, wasn't quite a lot of like new blood coming in. And I think now it's like night and day. There's just so many kids.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's like a huge amount of energy and actual like, you know, intensity. I mean, we'll see how it continues, right? And like how people stay or move around or get inspired and like the things that people do. But it's a crazy exciting time, I think. You know, and it's the same in Canada too, and it sounds like it's the same in Europe as well. And I think it's really exciting, and the festivals definitely help. You know, I mean, and I think that was our goal as well when we started. It was to like, I mean, it's always to like be in Canada. You're kind of removed, right? And like, there's a border, and so when you want to like have your friends or these bands that you like come and play, you gotta kind of book them yourself, or like you gotta have friends that are going to be also interested in booking that. So it makes sense to have like these other people, you know, make these like big events with like all these great bands and like really give an audience something to like, you know, actually feel engaged in a community for like a span of 2 or 3 something days.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I think it's such an interesting genre like that we're in because like you have bands like Reversal Man or Orchid or Drone Dream that can come back after 20 years of being inactive, have this massive following, and then also at the same show have a bunch of like 19 or 18-year-olds come in and be just as amazing. And it's like this genre's alive and well, and it's really exciting to see because there's so much experimentation on all different directions. You know, that's why with a band like yours, there's so much like. I feel there's so much latitude for what you guys do. There's such a great place for it because it does incorporate so many layers and elements that just folds in so nicely, you know?
Yeah, and like I think for us, it's like, you know, we're like bookish folks into heavy music, so it's like, you know, I'd rather play to like people that are maybe similar minded and like come from a similar ish background than like, you know, and so it just makes sense. I think like in sort of that, you know, it's like a hard music for soft people or something, you know, or soft or it'd have to be soft music for hard people if they're tough, you know, like. So yeah, I don't know. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So where do you see like the genre progressing in the next 5 years?
Oh, I think no one's going to care about it in 5 years.
You think so?
we've passed peak screamo. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, we've seen like waves and ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I think that's one of the reasons why we just keep wanting to keep doing what we do, which is make music for ourselves. Do stuff that's interesting and like creative and ambitious that we can stand behind and feel proud of. I
that's the most important
don't think we've ever been like a band that's wanted to chase trends or like what's cool in the moment. I think that, you know, some of the people, you know, some of the kids that are in the scene right now are going to be around in 5 years and their bands are going to be amazing. They're going to be doing really cool stuff. And some of them are going to either, you know, get out of music or move to a different genre and, you know, might be doing cool stuff in other scenes.
Which is cool, you know, like that's just how these things go.
It's kind of I think there's life cycle of
there's a bit of a spotlight right now on screamo, right? And I think technology is like really paves the way for that, but technology and these companies also like need to shift attention around to be able to continue to make more money, right? So like, yeah, you know, they're like highlighting screamo shows with like this demographic of kids and getting them in, but like, you know, that's not going to last forever. Because they're going to need to move that attention somewhere else to create I think more of a, like, it's like we're living in an attention economy, and yeah, it's great that there's a spotlight and there's like, you know, and there's good things and bad things from that, of course. Always, you're gonna have people that are, you know, in it for maybe the wrong reasons, and then, but all that will shake out. You know, it's like all these people will come get involved, and then, like Rohan said, some will like kind of fall to the wayside, or will move on to other communities and other scenes, and then, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll get a solid group of people that'll still be doing this in 10 years from, you know, from when they we're 18, like we were still fucking here doing this.
I think the difference
But,
is
yeah.
like when we were coming up, you had to actively seek out
Sure.
new music, and the way to like get into stuff was like going on blogs or going on SoulSeek and like
It's very
finding
active.
new stuff.
Mhm.
And I think now, you know, we've reached an age of like algorithmic social media where stuff gets pushed to you, and it's interesting because like the stuff that we're playing is getting pushed to people, but you know, like you said, something else might get pushed to people in a few years, and like
It's really like it's funny because it's not in our hands at all, right? Like even if you were like the biggest band in like the TikTok scene right now, it's like not in your hands. I mean, like it really isn't, you know.
Yeah, like tonight Verse Self in February are playing, and I asked Verse Self when I interviewed them, I'm like, what was it like to get like, you know, I asked February the same question, what was it like to have your song get like taken to this like TikTok like level of fame? And they're like, it was wild because we were doing DIY shows in LA and Las Vegas respectively, and next thing you know, people are adding it to compilations of their dog dying or whatever. It's like, who would have thought that a screamo band would have that kind of coverage?
yeah,
But I think we kind of are getting past that peak of like you said, the attention has to be like shifted around. Because I'm seeing less title fight and modern baseball shirts at screamo shows. So I think we're past the point of people chasing trends of like, I like what's immediately in front of me and I'm gonna go.
We'll see, you know, like it's I feel like, you know, nobody has a crystal ball, and it's like pure speculation, you know. Like I mean, I could have never speculated that the scene would be as like youthful again, you know, like, and that's just like wonderful to see. And I think the part of like, you know, like just like looking back to ourselves and when we were that age, it's like, you know, it's, I think there's like a lot of interesting things to come. There's going to be some amazing bands. People are going to like, you know, put out some really, really great music because there is a lot of talent and a lot of passion in these bands. In what form, in what ways, in what genres, you know, in what expressions, who knows, right? I think it's exciting though. I don't know. Like I really like playing with the youths. It's inspiring. I mean, and it's, you know, it's nice to be reminded of like yourself, like halfway, you know, like
your own mortality,
your own, not just that, but like, you know, also like see a little bit of your like 15-year-old self in like other 15-year-olds, and it's nice.
Oh yeah, like I saw Free Throw recently, and I remember seeing Free Throw at like a coffee house in like rural Illinois with like 20 people in it because like their first album hadn't even come out yet. And then next thing it's like 10 years later, they're doing an anniversary tour of it, and now there's like teenagers in the crowd just losing it to hearing Tongue Tied for the first time live. And I'm like, I remember when that was me.
My old band played with them in Cologne, Germany, like randomly. Our tours just intersected, and we met them then. It was cool.
That'd be a sick show. Like I would like to see that. So to kind of like wrap things up, what if there was one song from Respire that you're most proud of right now? What would that be?
I don't know. It's a tough question because there's so many fucking songs.
Yeah.
Like just in like not even like that we like. There's just a lot.
I know there's a lot of songs.
I don't know, maybe just like from the set list.
I mean, the one that like I think is really interesting and unique is Keening on our latest record. I think it's kind of got a lot of different elements. There's a lot of stuff happening. I mean, I think we've also like changed our sound and evolved and like done different things over time, and there's been like different eras of our sound.
Yeah, like our record before this last one that we put out was like admittedly a lot heavier, and like and then this one we like, you know, decided to maybe go a little more like not a little more
heavy, soft music for hard people.
Soft music for hard people, and
the last one was hard music for soft.
I mean,
it was.
You guys gotta put that on a shirt now.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, we should
a hardcore shirt.
No, you got the newest trend is impact font, like from like MySpace beatdown era bands.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like Journal just had one where it says like run like a girl app. It's like that like hardcore like beatdown font, and it's like, dude, I want like screamo shirts on that so bad.
Somebody yesterday had like your mom's favorite screamo band or grindcore band
that
or something.
was 1,000 Angels and Seven. That's like their thing. Because I went to go buy a shirt from them after their set, and they just said your mom's favorite screamo band. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely getting a shirt now. I'm like, this rules. But yeah, thank you so much for chatting, and it was amazing seeing you guys, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.
Yeah, of course. All right, and then one more